Meghan's marrying into a family which has, to put it mildly, a dodgy track record on race. It's not Meghan Markle's problem, it's their problem.
The royal family needs Harry. Harry doesn't really need the royal family.
Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. To all of my house guests, come in, make yourselves at home, make yourselves comfortable. If you're passing by and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place. So Meghan's fox has had a very busy week. Gone are the days when he had to dance to the tune of the men in grey suits, and him creating his own timetable seems to be the only reason why, simultaneously, the Waleses have been performatively busy on royal engagements, understandably in an attempt to keep the spotlight on them. Unfortunately, this didn't go according to plan.
I watched the television last night. You know, they split the screen. They showed Harry at his Well Child charity, and they showed Kate and William at the Women's Institute. And incidentally, it was only supposed to be William going. At the last minute, Kate said she wanted to be there. That's because they realised that Harry, if Kate wasn't there, would get the headlines. And you watched Harry. The royal family really needs him. His interactions with people, he's so natural and friendly and warm. And Kate
I think
and William,
he misses this country.
Kate and,
Hang on, let's conclude. Go on.
Right.
Say what you're going to say.
I was just saying, the royal family needs Harry. Harry doesn't really need the royal family.
Now at this point, can we just take a moment to appreciate how healthy and relaxed Harry looks? Regardless of his packed schedule, he's a fine example of a man who's being well taken care of by his wife, both of whom are living in liberty, something which Piers Morgan remains forever angry about.
There's lots more of today's top news stories on the way with Ashley James, Nick Ferrari, and of course, Piers Morgan.
Let's start with this big news, of course. Piers, we've seen that Prince Harry has been over. He's making some great headlines. He's making this big donation to children in need, over £1.1 million.
Yep.
Lots of speculation about whether he would have an opportunity to meet his dad. He did meet the King yesterday.
Whoopie-doo. He's here apparently on a massive charm offensive. The only problem is he spent the last 5 years not being charming, but being deeply offensive about the royal family and about the monarchy. And we see the consequence of that in the second topic that we're going to come to, which is about the falling popularity of the monarchy in this country, particularly amongst young people. And I blame entirely not entirely, because I also blame Prince Andrew for a lot of this, but I think what Harry and Meghan have done in damaging the reputation of the royal family, this is now manifesting itself in the polling about the royal family and the monarchy. And that's why I've been so against what they've been doing for so long, because this is the reality.
Reconciliation can only happen if steps are made. You're a dad yourself. You've got grown-up sons. You've got a younger daughter as well. And there will be fallouts along the way. It's such a public relationship. And as you say, he's been very open about where he is in that sort of situation. But this potentially could be a positive for them to be able to reconnect.
I mean, look, they spent 5 years enriching themselves in California by trashing their family. You can't get away from that. So yeah, he can come back and he can do a bit of grovelling and he can do a bit of charity work and he can get his checkbook out from the ill-gotten gains he's made from trashing his family. But don't expect me to get the bunting out and go, oh, great, Prince Harry's back, after basically bringing the royal family to its knees whilst Prince Philip was dying, whilst the Queen was dying. You know, a lot of damage has been done. I hope in that meeting with his father, he got on bended knee and issued a proper grovelling apology. I suspect he didn't, but he should have done. And if that was one of my sons who'd done that to my family, that's what I want him to do.
Ashley?
I think, you know, we're both parents, we're all parents. I think this is amazing on a personal level because I think it was really sad, you know, when King Charles was going through his cancer diagnosis, Harry not even knowing what was going on with his dad, and that really broke my heart. So I think on a personal level, this is only amazing news and we should celebrate it. And from the royal family, Prince Harry never stepped back from royal duties because he didn't care about his duty. And I think he has shown, not just while he was in the royal family, but since, he has continued his amazing work with the Invictus Games. He's consistently shown his dedication to veterans, to servicemen. He has done so much for mental health, for his charity work.
What's he done for the mental health of his family, do you think?
Well, the thing is...
I'm serious. I mean, look, you're painting this idyllic picture of this heroic character. He has renounced royal duty. Hang on. He's renounced royal duty, but he's kept the royal titles so that he can continue to make money out of being Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. And my thing is that you can't have your cake and eat it. The Queen was very much you're either in or you're out. What he wants to do is cherry pick certain things that make him look good and make himself very rich off the back of being a royal. And I'm afraid I'm not buying the whole, oh, isn't it wonderful that Harry's back?
Can I talk now?
Not really. You can now talk.
Thank you. So Prince Harry stepped back because he felt like there was relentless media intrusion, your mouth being one of those mouthpieces. And
was I more or less intrusive than he's been in his own words?
Also, I resent, let me talk now. Let me talk now.
Well, come on. Talk about royal intrusion. The most intrusive person into royal privacy ever has been Prince Harry. With his book, with his Netflix series, with everything else. He watched his mother die, and all our hearts broke watching him go walk in her funeral. And he did his best to protect his family, to protect Meghan. He was very open, asking people to stop criticising her, and he felt that it was damaging his family well-being. I think Prince Harry is an amazing asset to the royal family. I think he would actually do so much to help modernise the institution. He shows that it is okay to talk, and I think I would really struggle to have the level of vitriol that him and his wife faced and not feel like he had to speak his truth. What about the vitriol he's dished out to his family? It's unbelievable.
Let's speak to Nick.
Piers is right here. This is a man who chose to get away from royal duty, but remember the row was about the fact, despite the fact that he wanted to go and live in exile and then write books and his wife do television shows, he still expected the same level of security as if he was a working royal. That is what the row boils down to. I hear what Ashley says. Too much was expected of him as a young man when he walked behind his mum's funeral. That was a grotesque mistake. But the heart of the row is that he wants to effectively not be a royal, but be treated as a royal. And that's what caused the row. And also some pretty disobliging passages in his book about his dad. So Piers, on that aspect, I have to say I would find for him.
So, Nick, I've got a question for you. Do you think, like Piers said, he has been responsible for destroying public opinion on the royal family? The National Centre for Social Research has conducted a survey that has found only 51% of people feel the monarchy are quite or very important.
In fairness to what Piers said, he also brought in Prince Andrew, and we must go back to Piers in a moment. I would suggest, and there is no measure by which we can gauge this, I think the damage done by Andrew is far more grave than what Harry has done. Harry hasn't helped, unfortunately. And I think a lot of wise commentators said, when sadly we lost the Queen, we wouldn't know what we've lost until it went. She did have this extraordinary aura for young and for old that, and I respect everything the King does, but clearly, according to this survey, they are not latching on in the same way. But I think the real issue, as Piers rightly said, let's not forget what Andrew has done. I mean, that is a grotesque manifestation there.
But Piers, I mean, it has been dropping fairly regularly until we actually did the CNN and we covered the wedding. Remember when it was?
I do.
And then it got boosted up again and popularity went through the ceiling. What do you think they can do to turn this around?
Well, they can stop behaving like Prince Andrew. has done in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. I think that was very damaging. And they can also stop amongst themselves, and again, talking about Harry and his wife Meghan, they can stop trashing the institution of the monarchy, calling it a callous, racist institution, and then backtracking from that once the damage has been done. I think it's very difficult to underestimate the damage that was done to the reputation of the monarchy worldwide from the allegation that they were racist, the royals, about the skin colour of Harry and Meghan's upcoming baby, as it was then. They later tried to say, we didn't mean that, we didn't mean that. The damage was done. That went around the Commonwealth. And a lot of black people around the world went, wow, we are now hearing from somebody inside the royal family that they're racist. Do not underestimate the damage. And it's no good of Harry years later to say, we didn't mean to say they were racist. It was all, he came up with all sort of ridiculous language to explain it. No, that Oprah Winfrey interview, which actually led to me leaving Good Morning Britain. And I stand by everything I said that day, because I felt in the moment it was incredibly damaging and very disingenuous.
To Ashley's point, though, there's been this decline in support for the monarchy. To Ashley's point, and I think Lorraine put this brilliantly a couple of days ago when she was talking about Prince Harry at the Well Child Awards. When you watch Prince Harry doing what Prince Harry always did so fantastically well, he was always so relatable. Anybody that was in the army with him, everybody talked so glowingly about what a fantastic part of that army and that group he was. When you see him doing what he does brilliantly, there's no question that if he has had an impact on it dropping, he can have an impact on it coming back again, actually.
And also, I kind of resent the comparison between Prince Andrew and Prince Harry, because there is no comparison.
We need to point out Prince Andrew's not been found guilty of anything. He has questionable behaviour and relationships, of course, but that's really important.
I think, and maybe speaking from a slightly younger perspective...
Oh, my God! Really?
I just had to get dig in there.
You did that?
I just had to get dig in there somewhere. But
wow.
I think it's not just Harry and Meghan, who, by the way, I think I would love to see them back in the royal family. I don't think it's something that they want, but I think Harry is such an asset to the royal family, and I think it does help to modernise and help them evolve. I love the Queen. I also recognise how important the royal family are and how much they mean to people and how much of an impact they can have on businesses and on charities. But I also do think that, especially in a time of austerity, for a lot of younger people, it does sit a bit uncomfortably with people to have a monarchy during this very difficult time. So I don't think that we can just put down the fact that the monarchy is losing favour or losing public support down to Harry and Meghan. Because actually, I think a lot of young people do relate to Harry and Meghan much more, and they love Harry and Meghan, especially Harry.
Look, I hate to be, again, the party pooper, but in all the polling, their popularity is right down with Prince Andrew. Right? And the popular ones are Kate and William, right? And they are the future of the royal family. And we know, and we might as well, the elephant in the room is that William wants nothing to do with his brother, hasn't made any time to see him on this trip, is absolutely enraged about what his brother's done to the family. And that's a bigger issue for the family going forward. So much as you would like to have them skip back from California and as the sort of saviours of the family they've been trashing, actually a lot of the family don't want to see them.
Nick, last word for you on this one?
Well, I think if Harry and Meghan help get Piers off the telly, a nation should show its gratitude. That's the greatest work that Harry... And the popularity will soar again. Let's just remind the nation what they achieved.
I can't wait to have you in the studio. Can't wait.
Now, for my new house guests and those who need to be reminded, allow me to share some observations which I've previously made on my channel. Listen to what Morgan said in this clip, which is from the 2011 documentary made by Keith Allen in relation to the inquest into Diana's death.
Her landmine campaign was clearly infuriating the armaments industry, while her love affair with Dodi Fayed was infuriating the royal family and the British establishment. So there were an awful lot of people who wanted Diana and her Muslim lover dead.
It's weird that at a time when the establishment can think of nothing worse than Dodi Fayed, son of Mohammed, marrying and possibly impregnating Diana, that she's conducting a major international offensive against landmines with all the crippling economic problems that would bring for the British establishment again, and the British government.
America.
And America. But if you add all these to the mix, then if you were ever going to do something dodgy to Diana, that's the time you would do it. she'd become trouble. As she used to say to me, I'm trouble to them. I won't go away. I won't go quietly.
Now, in case you didn't know, this documentary was banned at one time and you couldn't find it on YouTube. However, it is readily available on YouTube, so you can watch the whole thing for yourself. It's I think it's about an hour and 18 minutes long. I dare this man to tell me that what he said throughout this documentary was not damaging to the royal family. I dare him. I'm in disbelief. I've seen this documentary many times and it still makes me shake my head. Listen to what Morgan said in this clip when he thought he was going to be invited to Harry and Meghan's wedding.
This woman existed. All the alarm bells rang at Buckingham Palace, and I could almost hear them saying, pull the shutters down. It's an invasion.
She's mixed race, she's American, she's a divorcee, actress. Those are 4 ticks. No member of the royal family, the senior members, ever thought they would see having to be ticked when it came to Harry's bride.
All the things that frightened the royal family have suddenly arrived on their doorstep. I can hear Diana laughing now.
Meghan's marrying into a family which has, to put it mildly, a dodgy track record on race. It's not Meghan Markle's problem, it's their problem.
Let's be very clear. During Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview, when they were asked who had expressed concerns about their unborn baby's skin colour, they said they would never tell because it would be damaging to that party. Let's be very clear. It was Piers Morgan who felt big enough, bold enough and brave enough to actually name those who allegedly expressed those concerns.
I don't believe any racist comments were ever made by any of the royal family, and until there is actual evidence of those comments being made, I will never believe it. But now we can start the process of finding out if they ever got uttered, what the context was, and whether there was any racial intent at all. Like I say, I don't believe there was. The royals who are named in this book are King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales.
It seems that flip-flopping is a favourite pastime of Piers Morgan, because how do you go from believing with your entire chest that the royal family is racist? This is pre-Harry and Meghan's wedding. And then when you don't get an invite, you are now convinced that the royal family is not racist. How do you flip-flop like that? Allegedly, because I only hear this from you, you had a close relationship with Diana, and now you have zero relationship with her children and their spouses. So is that the reason why you have such vitriol for the Sussexes especially? I mean, you're the one who outed Charles and Kate. Harry and Meghan didn't. And you hoped to use that as a vehicle to ingratiate yourself with the institution. This man is meant to be a seasoned professional. So how do you not understand that what you say in print and on film is virtually indelible? How do you not understand that? This flip-flopping, it doesn't make sense. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. So when you hear him dominate these conversations, shouting over a younger female contributor, spewing the same tired old rhetoric, he is under the impression that you have 0 sense and will not question what he says simply because he employs an authoritative tone in his voice. The other male contributor on this panel was Nick Ferrari. They are from the same era in journalism. Nick recently got married. I think this was a couple of weeks ago, and Morgan was a guest. So these two are very, very cozy in each other's company. Nothing wrong with that. These two represent the last remnants of the old boys network of journalism that are reluctant to accept women like Nana Akua and Esther Krakue. Please forgive me for any mispronunciations. whose desperation to be accepted is so great that these two women use the Duchess of Sussex for target practice. In my humble opinion, Morgan is looking for a knighthood or at least some sort of formal recognition from the institution. He is mad because if the ice begins to thaw between Harry and Charles, that recognition will become less likely. Now the Waleses look like they're having trouble keeping up because, let's be honest, when last did we see them so active performing public engagements? Even towards the end of the week, Kate putting her hair up in a bun without a hair tie and wearing a necklace with the initials of her children while she tried her hand at fabric printing was considered newsworthy.
Welcome back. This is the Princess of Wales. They're trying a hand at fabric painting on a royal visit in Kent yesterday. She got right stuck in and she effortlessly scooped up her long hair into a bun without the help of a mirror or even a hairband. How does she do it? Leaving many to wonder, what was her trick? Fans also noticed that she was wearing a special necklace, actually, with the initials of her three children, George, Charlotte and Louis. How lovely is that?
Me, with my cynical self, would conclude that she had received so much backlash with regard to her blonde wig, extensions, whatever it was, and she decided to go back to her original hair colour and density. So she needed to show all of us, this is my hair, look what I can do. As I said, that's me with my cynical self. Meghan puts her hair up in a bun effortlessly, and she has a necklace with the initials of her children. Something that millions of other mothers do. Meanwhile, around the same time, Harry was attending an engagement outside of the UK this time, and this was definitely newsworthy.
Also visiting the capital was Prince Harry. We'll have more on him in just a moment. But first, our international editor Emma Murphy was with the Foreign Secretary and she underlined UK support for Ukraine. Well, as we mentioned, Prince Harry has also paid a surprise visit to Ukraine. He visited Kiev, where he met soldiers injured in the war against Russia and said he wants to do everything possible to help rehabilitate them. Well, our royal editor Chris Ship has joined us in the studio. Chris, how's it been going?
Well, look, anyone who's been watching our programmes this week knows that Prince Harry has been in the UK for 4 days, largely successful. We knew that he wasn't going straight back to California after the end of his visit here. We rather suspected he might do something like this, but then this morning, as you can see from these pictures, the overnight train rumbled into the main station in Kyiv, and off that train stepped one Prince Harry. This is his first visit to Kyiv. He did actually go to Lviv in the west of the country earlier this year. But if you think about everything to do with the Invictus Games that he set up, that was set up at a time when we and the US and other partners were getting a lot of injuries from Afghanistan. Now, clearly, in Europe at the moment, there are so many people being permanently disabled by the situation in Ukraine, and that's why Harry is there, bringing a specialist team from the Invictus Games to see how, through sport and other ways of rehabilitation, how his charity can help. Now, look, it's my understanding, just as we saw from Yvette Cooper just now, that he has or is going to meet President Zelensky. The thing is, because of Harry being there, the son of a king, no one's allowed to talk about it until he's left the country. So we're still waiting for confirmation of that. But I think he will have seen President Zelensky today. And just a final point, in order to go there, yes, he did have to seek permission from the British government, so the Foreign Office were aware. The other person he had to ask was Meghan, because obviously going to Kiev is a very risky thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, thanks very much for that.
Just like millions of full siblings, Harry and William come from the same womb but are very different characters. So to try and find similarities between them is somewhat of a redundant pursuit. Harry's £1.1 million donation to children in need was something he did last December but waited until now, 10 months later, to make that public. Harry's donation was not through Archewell. Harry's donation was personal, which loops back to last week's video when I asked what is stopping Kate from using her own funds to bring her early years project to life. I had seen some reports online that suggested that William had donated £300,000 to the Spiral Skills project in South London, Lambeth, which he visited on the same day as Harry visited Nottingham. Those reports seem to have disappeared, and if you go to the Royal Foundation's website, there's an article posted there on the 9th of September. There is no such figure stated on there. Apparently, Spiral Skills have already received funding from William's homelessness initiative Homewards. A figure just hasn't been specified. And to be fair, these charities are vehicles for fundraising. So Harry doing this from his own pocket is very rare. It's a rare occurrence. But it's this idea of ill-gotten gains which Piers Morgan had stated in the This Morning studio. Ill-gotten gains from where, please? I'm not sure I'm clear on that. Because as far as I understand, any funds that Harry acquires, a notable portion is directed into his charities. Take Spare, for example. I understand that a significant percentage of the proceeds from the sale of that book had been diverted to his charities. So, ill-gotten gains? Direct that energy to Charles when he had commissioned a book written about his family and he didn't have very nice things to say about his parents. And also take into consideration his dealings with dodgy foreign businessmen and reportedly receiving backhanders for various reasons. Have that same energy for William with regard to cash for access. Have that same energy for Andrew and his dealings with dodgy businessmen and certain PDF files. So I don't think you can put Harry and how he acquires funds into the same category as the rest of his family. As I said, Piers Morgan loves to flip-flop. Whether he flips or he flops depends on who he can have easier access to at a certain point in time, in my humble opinion. People should stop asking this perpetual question of, will these two brothers ever reconcile? Let's just make room for the possibility that Harry is not going to waste his time with William because, for all intents and purposes, the petulant little William that you see in this video remains now in a 43-year-old body.
Alright, Harry will have all the fun then. No! No, it's alright. No!
Diana's death didn't just affect Harry. Undoubtedly, it also affected William, but William has been trained to maintain a stiff upper lip, especially in public. 21st century society is no longer guided by those parameters. William can talk about supporting mental health charities to the end of time, but William would never dream of using any mental health services himself because he doesn't feel he needs to. I've noticed a significant change in Harry because Harry has invested a lot of time in himself through therapy to get his head straight. He's done the work because he's cognizant of the positive contributions he wants to make to his wife, his children, and the wider world. Consequently, the positive reception Harry receives is not fake, as demonstrated by this 66-year-old lady who is very definite about her feelings towards him.
detective skills needed to work out who this lady had come to support. Now, say if the King or Prince William were here today, would you wear a t-shirt saying Team William or Team King? I wouldn't.
This lady really did put a smile on my face because she proudly declared, literally with her whole chest, that she is Team Harry. She's not ashamed to say it. She doesn't care about who knows it. Even if members of her cohort do not agree with her.
As you can tell, I'm in my pajamas and I was on my way to bed with my cup of as ever peppermint tea, and I got to thinking. Prince Harry's very first project as a working royal started in Nottingham. And I don't think that was an accident. That was him putting himself in a community that was diverse, that's working class, and predominantly black and brown. And from that moment, you can see where his heart was leading him. Fast forward, look at his travels to Africa, his HIV advocacy, his Invictus Games outreach. He's always gravitated towards communities the monarchy has historically ignored. And here's where it gets interesting. When Harry married Meghan, it wasn't just about the prince marries an actress. It was a symbolic choice. It was him confirming what people had already seen. His commitment wasn't going to be to the old establishment or to keeping things all white everything. And this is the reason why the derangers and the Meghan haters hate Meghan. She didn't just take him away. Her presence solidified his connection to the black community in a way that no PR campaign from the firm could ever undo. That's the real threat. It's not just her race. It's the bridge she represents. She made visible what Harry had already been leaning towards for years. And have you noticed who makes up the loudest group of haters? White monarchists, and especially white women. Because for them, Meghan isn't just an outsider. It's proof that their fantasy of the monarchy being their exclusive property is over. And that's why the venom runs so deep.
Because Harry was more than willing to do the work on himself, to be better and to do better, he is no longer in the shadow of William, but rather William is now in the shadow of Harry. Guys, you already know there's been so much going on. I'm not covering everything that's gone on because you will have already seen most of it throughout the week, I'm assuming. In my wrapping up, I just wanted to share some final thoughts. Can someone help me with this? Because this is what I've noticed. Again, my brain kind of works differently in that I will notice the most trivial things. This is an example. Has there been a protocol change, a royal protocol change with regard to William's wife? If you recall, Ascot, I think it was the second day, at the last minute, she decided that she wasn't going to appear. For whatever reason, I don't know, you guys may know, that's all been forgotten. And then earlier this week, when William was meant to attend an event solo, she decides that she's going to turn up, tells them at the last minute she wants to come. You heard Nina Mishkov say that at the beginning of the video. And I'm very puzzled. Is this the new arrangement now? Do they not have to follow some kind of schedule, some strict timetable, because time is of the essence? You know, all these logistics have to be considered. But I think we're going to see more of this from Kate. Lastminute.com. Lastminute.com is something I love as a website when I'm booking my holidays or my experience days or just general leisure activities. But lastminute.com is not something that I employ in my life. Don't tell me you're going to do something at the last minute. My family knows that. If you're going to tell me something, do not wait till the last minute. You need to tell me in advance, because this lastminute.com does not work for me. How is she allowed to get away with this? That's not very royal, is it? That's not very becoming. But having said that, guys, William is expert at this, because the amount of events that he's pulled out of at the last minute, like his Greek godfather's funeral, I think it was, when around the time, what was the event around the time Thomas Kingston had passed away? William was supposed to attend an event and he pulled out at the last minute. So I guess it's all right for them. They're the future king and queen, so anything goes. I don't know. It was just an observation, a tiny observation, guys, and I just thought it was really interesting. This is what I've been saying for the last few weeks. They've set the bar very low. They don't have high standards, because it is so rude. In general life, as a regular person, you can't be bothered to keep an appointment, or you turn up late, or, you know, it's just bad manners. But we should excuse them. Yeah, this whole speculation with regard to Harry and Charles, it's not in William's interests for them to reconcile, because if they reconcile, and if Harry's security issues are finally resolved, it potentially means you see more of the Sussexes in the UK, and William can't have that, because if this week is anything to go by, the headlines will always be about Harry and Meghan, potentially their kids. William doesn't want that. That's why reconciliation, he's dead against it. As far as these are just my thoughts, guys. I don't know whether you agree, but this is just my observation. It's weird. This whole thing is weird, how you see these people who we're supposed to look up to. Me, I don't look up to them, but this is the idea. We're supposed to look up to them because they are the standard bearers for excellence. This has been the theme of these videos for the last few weeks, okay? They are not the standard bearers for excellence as far as I'm concerned. They are not. Whether you like the royal family or not, I'm not a staunch royalist, as you know, but the Queen was the last. Queen Elizabeth II was the last, and you will never see her like again. Say what you want about her, but she was the standard bearer. For all the things historically that she was part of, or that she turned a blind eye to, when it just comes to everyday life in the UK, as far off as she was in terms of relatability, when it comes to representing royalty, you're not going to see that again. We've got a side piece that's the Queen now. We've got a couple of lazy people who claim to work but they don't, and the ones that do work, they're vilified because they do work. 1 minute they're royal, next minute they're not royal. Harry and Meghan are members of the royal family. Just because they do not perform royal engagements, that doesn't mean they are not royal. Even the Queen said they are still part of the family. When they left the UK, she said they're still part of the family, loved members of the family. Okay, so this idea of everything's gonna go back to how it should be if Charles and Harry reconcile, before it's too late. It's not going to be how it was before, but at least they'll come to some kind of understanding. There are many people in this country who do not want to see them reconcile. Piers Morgan is one, William is another. Kate, I suspect, is another, because she can't have Meghan overshadowing her. She can't be in Meghan's shadow. William cannot be in Harry's shadow. Guys, if your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you shall catch me in the next video.
Very challenging. After so many challenges, Prince Harry's in a place of after so many challenges.
Harry, you brought sunshine with you!
This time.